Well, let me give you a little history lesson. A few years ago, when I asked Volvo why they didn't have a four-wheel drive vehicle, they said, oh, four-wheel drive, we're not convinced. We think two-wheel drive on a properly engineered car is as good a bet as four-wheel drive a la Audi. Well, things have changed since then because Volvo have since decided that a four-wheel drive car is not a bad idea indeed. And what's more, they've gone one step further by having launched their V70 all-wheel drive, AWD. They've now gone for this, something they're just about to launch in the UK, called the Volvo V70 all-wheel drive cross-country. What it is effectively is a car that kind of looks like an off-roader, but is actually not an off-roader. It's a car for on-road use predominantly, on-road use for 99.9% of its life, and the four-wheel drive facility is not there to go mud plugging or driving through rivers. It's there really to ensure that you're safe on those icy roads at night and to give you that extra traction. It's a very sophisticated system. Most of the time you've got 95% or thereabouts of the drive going to your front wheels and 5% drive to the back wheels, but depending on what sort of surface you hit, in fact you might even be hitting two surfaces at the same time. You might, for example, have gravel on two wheels on one side of the car and tarmac or snow or whatever on the other side. Depending on whatever road conditions you happen to stumble across, the car then decides for you exactly what you need. It's almost like driving a luxury limousine come off-roader. You know, there are better cars off-road than this for obvious reasons, but there aren't too many cars in this league that drive like a limousine and have the performance of this V70 all-wheel drive cross-country. They've got to do something about that name, it's far too long. The physical difference between the standard V70 all-wheel drive and the cross-country version is that the cross-country has 16-inch alloy wheels, increased ground clearance, front bumpers with overriders, has a new style grille, grey side mouldings, a retractable rear bumper dust cover, partial colour keyed rear bumpers, new style roof rails with crossbars, canvas and leather upholstery in grey or oak, these amazing little floor mats that should cope with the mud and water that you'll be lugging into the car, and side nets at the rear to protect those awkward loads from flying around. It has that same 2.5 litre 5-cylinder light pressure high performance engine. The first thing I have to admit is that we've broken all the rules. We've taken the car off-road. Well, they told us not to go off-road. They told us it wasn't an off-roader. It's the vehicle that looks like an off-roader, but is actually for on-road use only. But you know what we're like. We had to break the rules. We've taken the thing off-road. We've been up some pretty hilly, flinty roads. We've been through some streams. We've been through some mud. And I've got to say, there's never any danger of getting stuck. We weren't terribly adventurous where we went. We wouldn't go anywhere that you would go in a Jeep Cherokee or a Jeep Grand Cherokee or Wrangler, come to that. And I'm afraid we've got a few casualties along the way. These are bits that have fallen off the Volvo V70 Cross Country. That's the bad news. The good news is they're all bits designed to fall off. These are bits that you might take off the car when you're towing or whatever. So they just need to be slotted in. We'll do away with those for the time being, I think, don't you? But I think it says a lot for the car that it's done what we expected it to do and more. don't buy this car. Don't even think about this car if you want to go into serious off-roading. If that's your bag, stick with something like a Range Rover or a Jeep, because this is really the car for on-road use that might be used for 1% of its life, you know, going into a muddy field, to pull out a horse box, to pull out a boat, down on the farm, that sort of thing. The four-wheel drive facility, we can't stress this often enough, the four-wheel drive facility is when you're on a tarmac road in winter, when there's that black ice or sheet ice that might be there that you might not even see. That's when the Volvo V70 all-wheel drive cross-country, probably the car with the longest name in the world, comes into its own.